Here we go. Pandemonium.
And him. He's also part of this. Yeah, good enough. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Murphy. How many of you, when you were little, may at some point have said, I wish I was a king or a queen, a prince or a princess. I wish I had subjects to rule over and to dominate. That might have actually been just me. This is the world's smallest country. It's called the Principality of Sealand. In 1967, a gentleman known as Paddy Roy Bates decided to sail out there and set up a pirate radio station. It is located 6 miles off the coast of England. In 1968, his son shot at a passing boat saying, "Get out of our waters," and was called into European courts in England and tried for attacking citizens. And they ruled that it was international waters and they didn't have any right to interfere with the goings on Sealand. That's when they created a constitution. They decided, we are now an independent country. We are the Principality of Sealand. The question is, do we need to recognize them as such? Because countries do not want to recognize them as a country. Everyone says they're just people. They're not their own nation. Should we? I say we should. But first, let's look at the history of Sealand and why. What happened, and why it was the site of the most awesome war to ever happen. It was the site of basically Die Hard, whatever number comes out to the last one to occur. I don't actually know. Fast forward from 68 to 1978. A young German gentleman, friend of the royal family, invited the prince, the High Prince Roy, or Michael, who founded the country, and his wife, out to a little banquet in Germany, an economic thing regarding diamonds. He never showed up. They called back to their little fort and found that their son, Michael Roy Bates, had been held hostage and thrown into the brig. This man had hired German mercenaries to attack and take over the fortress of Sealand and declared himself prime minister. He now ruled this country. They later deposited the prince that they had kidnapped on the shores of Germany with no passport, no money, and no identification. This was their mistake. The family who runs Sealand was friends with the person who flew stunt helicopters in the James Bond films. They went and got this man, get a helicopter with no doors, stood on the railings, rappelled down. This was just the son did this because his parents were pretty old. Rappelled down onto the fort with a shotgun and held the mercenaries hostage, taking back Sealand on his own. Remember, helicopter flown by stunt pilot, prince with a shotgun, and German mercenaries. It's basically Die Hard. Following this event, they held the mercenaries captive on Sealand for several days. During this time, Germany petitioned to England, get our citizens back from your citizens. England cited their court case 10 years prior and said, they're not our problem, it's international waters. We don't have to deal with this. Germany sent an ambassador to Sealand. That ambassador negotiated the release, but there was a cost. Sealands now said they had basis. They said England and Germany had de facto recognized them as a country. They said that this was proof that they were valid. They've even competed in sports competitions now. Let's fast forward again, a couple years later. England decides its territorial waters are now all the way 12 miles out. 12 miles, not the 3, the original. Sealand is now well within their waters. Fast forward again to 1992. A new ruling determining what can create a country means that man-made structures and islands do not count. They cannot be countries. Sealand was not grandfathered in because at the time the waters it floated in were considered Britain waters, or United Kingdom waters, not Sealand waters. And that's where the contention comes in. This is just an old fort from World War II built to monitor mines. Old dude moves in, says, it's my country now. Should we allow him to have that? Well, the recognition is the key here. They say they were de facto recognized. There are 2 main kinds of diplomatic recognition, de facto and de jure. De facto is basically actions have implied that we accept you as a country. So their basis is saying you sent a diplomat to us and you cited that we were not part of your governing You weren't involved in governing us. That's de facto recognition of our validity. De jure means by law, and there is no law established that specifically discusses dealing with Sealand. They don't have any international relations to speak. I say that even though they don't have that, the de facto recognition should stand true. A diplomat was sent, proper negotiations were traded back and forth, and England did say there was an international territory for the expansion of water borders. Now, can England march in and take it back? Oh, they most certainly can, but I'm going to ask this, why bother? Why start a war with a tiny nation over a 6-acre slab of concrete floating in the middle of a river? Honestly, it's not worth England's time. They should just accept, they should admit and say, Sealand can be its own country and let an insane man run his private little world. That's simple logic. Now, the prince actually passed away in 2012, and his son was named Michael, Prince Regent of Sealand. They have continued. They have an actual population of 50, though at any given time there's usually closer to 10 people aboard the vessel. The royal family does live in England, because why would you live in that shithole? Nonetheless, it has an active population, it has a currency, and it has official documents. It's been recognized through ambassador and through court cases. Whether England wants to say they've expanded their waters or not, the fact remains, Sealand is its own country. Please accept that. I'm done. Die Hard. I would watch that movie. I would totally watch The War of Sealand.